Well, I want to go into some hot takes because there's been a lot of like hot takes.
Did you wait until we're almost done with our wine before we go into the hot takes?
Oh, okay. I'm doing pretty good. There's so many. I mean, one that I want to talk about, which we have not talked about this, so I'm taking a risk. Is the Cowbell situation. Yeah. I actually don't know if you and I agree or disagree on this. It'll be interesting.
I think we disagree on it.
Do we?
I think we do.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Okay. So basically, for those who don't know, last year at World Championships, the Americans had a very aggressive cowbell in the stands.
I think it's been there for a while. Like
cowbell?
I think we were doing the cowbell in Rio.
Oh, so it's just like apparently just annoyed the Australians. So basically, in the team area, in the stands, we were shaking this cowbell when the Americans crushed it. Yeah. And there was an interview by Kate Campbell, who, by the way, is a legend herself, 8-time Olympic medalist, and was interviewed about it.
Who swims for Australia.
And last year at World Championships, we won the overall medal count. The Aussies won the gold medal count. So there was a lot of controversy over who did what, who's better, who's not. And she was interviewed and essentially was just saying how annoying we were with the cowbell. That was a year ago.
Yeah.
Now it is being resurfaced, and Michael Phelps has commented on it, and there's all these videos of people in the stands at trials shaking a cowbell, and there's varying opinions across the national team with alumni on how we feel about this being like very much at the forefront of the coverage with NBC.
Yeah.
What is your take? Or do I have to go? You want me to go first?
No, I'll go first. I think it's important to remember that one person does not speak for the whole.
Yes.
And that's where I'm just getting a little bit frustrated is like, I think that the media is viewing this as a massive storyline, is USA versus Australia. And that is simply the reason why it is getting pushed as much as it is. And I just don't want our audience, people watching, fans of the sport to dislike or
we don't disagree on this necessarily.
Okay. Yeah. I don't want anything to be held against the Australian team because this was one person. It was her opinion, which we are all entitled to our own opinions. I don't believe that Kate Campbell made this team. So she won't even be in Paris this summer. And yet this is like the focus of everything. And yet the person who made these comments isn't even going to be on the Australian team. Yep. She had, and again, no ill will there. She's phenomenal. I hope she keeps competing. But we've had so many athletes on that have talked about how close they are with other Australian swimmers. And like, we have really good relationships with them. So I think the main point I'm trying to get across is, yes, it's okay to have rivalries. Yes, it's okay to be competitive. Yes, it's okay to want to beat someone and get your hand on the wall first. But I just worry that with the way this is getting amped up, it's turning into less of like a respectful rivalry and more of a disrespectful rivalry. Mm-hmm. And I don't want that for the Australians because I feel like that's just not fair for them. They're phenomenal athletes. And I think they're going to do amazing things this summer. Yeah. And I think it's going to be amazing to watch. And that makes it great for the sport. And that, believe it or not, makes it great for Team USA athletes because it pushes us. It motivates us when we have that kind of competitor next to us. So I just feel like it's all getting blown out of proportion.
Yes. Why did you think we disagreed on this?
I don't know. You're so like intense and like you love the rivalry and the fight and like all of this. So I didn't know if you were going to get on here and be like, we're coming for you, Australia.
It's funny. First of all, that's checks out, I guess. Yeah. But like also, no, I can't even say it. Basically, like when Todd makes fun of me, he's always like, you're so easy to make fun of. I'll just be like, murder, crush, kill, punch. But like, no, I actually, yes, I like intensity. But first of all, it's something that people, if they aren't super fans of the sport. I mean, back in 2000, the whole thing with the Aussies saying we're going to smash the Americans like guitars, like that was a massive rivalry. Like the Aussies beat us and like literally were strumming on guitars on NBC. Like that was, so that that was fun, right? Like it was, I mean, it was definitely like, but it created the best swims. And I actually think swimming is so different than other sports, you know, football and basketball. There's so much trash talk. There's so much. I mean, look right now between like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and like there's all the, like, that's fun. And I think because the sport hasn't really had that, it is being blown out of proportion. Like what she said, I think was pretty minimal. Like she was like, it's annoying. Like maybe it was annoying to her. If you're not winning in that race, it would be annoying. You know what I mean? And so I think that, I mean, let's not forget Amy Van Dyken spit in Inge de Buren's lane was it in 2000 or 96? 2000. Yeah, before the 50 free. Yeah. That happened. It's like, that is so much more intense than talking about a cowbell. So that's number one. Number two, I think the energy towards it in the way people are talking about it has just more of a like bitter resentment energy. There's one thing to be like, oh, we'll strum on you guys we'll strum on you guys like guitars, or the spit in the lane thing's pretty intense, but like there's a difference in healthy trash talk and like disrespectful trash talk. Yeah. And swimming is a little different. I view football as like it's a battle, right? You know, you are in war, you are trying to hurt people. But I recently feel like there's been a shift in the way it's being spoken about because it's made this resurgence, and it isn't representative of how the current swimmers feel and how the rest of the Australian team feels. You know, Kaylee McEwen even said, she's like, no, like, I love Reagan. I love, you know, like that's not that feeling. And so I know how the media operates, and I feel like it's going to be the number one stretched across storyline, and that's going to ruin the storylines that matter. Yes. The athletes.
The stories of the actual people competing.
Yes. So that is my opinion. I have not said any names in all of this. Yeah. I just think that we should take a second and like zoom out and realize like it's just getting like very intense into this one specific story, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, so that's at least I love that we have this space where we can, for our own sakes, like be able to get that out.
Voice it. And feel better.
Yes. And just know that for anyone listening, this will hopefully get a little bit of a different perspective than what's being shared.
Yes. And we agree. Are you happy?
I'm so happy. Yeah. That's great.
Oh my God.